What is going on, everybody? I'm back with a little Seahawks talk video. We're going to get a little wild in this one. That's why we're rocking the old school green Matt Hasselbeck jersey today. You know we're getting nuts. We're getting a little crazy when we're wearing the old green. The old green. This is like the OG green, by the way. This is the 2000, I think it was 9 they wore this in the Jim Mora year. Green, not the new green. This is the old green. So we went into the vault for this jersey. I didn't even know I still had this thing, but we are wearing it today because we're gonna go a little nuts. So let's get nuts with the jersey. Honestly, I don't think we're gonna get a little nuts. To be dead serious here, I'm gonna talk about a few reasons why Seattle can win on Thursday. This isn't going to be anything earth-shattering. I'm not bringing up 500 numbers here. I'm going to give you a whole statistical analysis of why they can win. I'm just going to go over a few things where I think Seattle can succeed in this game and why I think they do have a shot on Thursday night to win. A big game for the Seahawks or the Niners. I'll be dead honest with you guys. I think the Niners win the division no matter what happens. Obviously, if the Niners win, they straight up clinch the NFC West. But even if Seattle does win this game, I do think the Niners end up winning the division. I've given up on hope on winning the division. I just don't think it's in the cards. Even when Seattle was 6-3, while they were in good position, they were in first, so I thought they had a chance. I've always kind of felt like the Niners were just a little bit better team. They're just a little bit further along right now, and that's okay. That's not a negative thing. They have just been, they're just a little bit further along. They've got a little bit more talent on the roster and at more key positions, so it's nothing to be ashamed of. If Seattle can win this game on Thursday, they're right back in the playoff mix. In fact, they'll be guaranteed to end Week 15 in a playoff position because Washington and the Giants will play. Assuming one of them loses, we could have a tie. You will be back into a playoff spot because one of them will drop to 7-6-1 and you'll be at 8-6. So let's talk about a few things. We're going to go, like I said, it's going to get a little weird here, but we're going to talk about a few things where I think Seattle can win. Let's kind of take it one step at a time. Let's first just look at the spread. And the Niners are minus 3.5. Let me get one thing out of the way very clearly here, and just so I don't run into any issues with anybody trolling or anything like that. I think the Niners are a better football team. I do. I 100% do. I think they have a better roster. They're clearly much more talented on defense. They have an immense array of weapons on offense. Granted, they're a little bit banged up, but I do think the 49ers are the better football team. In fact, I think the 49ers are a top 2-3 football team in the NFL right now. I think they're the most balanced team in the NFL because their defense is, I think, head and shoulders above many others, maybe not minus, but along with Philly and Dallas. I think this is another team that can get to the Super Bowl, even with Brock Purdy at quarterback. So I have a ton of respect for the 49ers, a ton of respect for Kyle Shanahan, who I think is one of the best play callers in the game. So none of this is really going to be about where I think Seattle's better. The only maybe advantage I think Seattle has is I do think they probably have a better quarterback. But quarterbacks don't play against other quarterbacks. It's sort of like comparing starting pitchers. It's great, and it can matter that your starting pitcher is better, but at the end of the day, you got to face the lineup. I think Geno is better than Brock Purdy. It doesn't mean in 10 years that might not change. Purdy could be the guy. But right now, I think most people would take Geno. But Geno's got to face the Niners defense, and Brock Purdy gets to face the Seattle defense. So even that doesn't really make a huge difference. So let's just look at the game first and foremost. Like I said, let's start with the spread. Niners are minus 3.5. I would expect, by the way, Brock Purdy to play in this game. He was available to reporters. The spread hasn't changed. So I would be surprised if Brock Purdy doesn't play. I thought maybe there was a chance it was going to be Josh Johnson, just mainly because I feel like the Niners probably feel like the division's pretty much wrapped up, but they're still playing for a shot at a 2 seed here potentially, so I think they're going to go for it. And I think Brock Purdy plays. The fact that he was available to the media makes it, pretty evident. Usually when a player's available to the media, it means they're pretty confident they're going to play. I think there was just a little concern because it was a Thursday game versus a Sunday game. Kyle Shanahan did say Purdy's a game time decision, but I would be surprised if Purdy doesn't play. So like I said, the spread is 3.5. So the spread right off the bat is still not immense. This isn't the Niners favored by 13. This isn't San Francisco going into Houston on a Thursday night here. They're coming to Seattle, which is a tough place to play, a place that they've had some struggles with. A Seattle team that's desperate, that's probably fighting for their season. I think Vegas recognizes that in the spread, and they think it's going to be a fairly close competitive game, with the Niners being about a field goal plus that little half point they're favored. I think that's completely fair. If I was an odds maker, that's probably about where I'd have the spread, and between 2 and 5, I think would be fair for this game. So right off the bat, we shouldn't be expecting a blowout. Vegas doesn't see one coming here. They're probably looking at something around the lines of 24-20 in that range. So right away, you've got hope in the fact that the odds makers don't see this game being much of a blowout, which should tell you the Seahawks are going to be in it. If you lose by 3.5, 3 to 4 points, you're in a football game. Number 2, the Niners are banged up. Deebo Samuel's going to miss the game. Now, thank goodness he's going to be back at the end of the year for the Niners. I love watching Deebo play, so very, good for him that his year isn't ruined. I hate seeing good players get hurt. The Niners always seem to have their fair share of injuries. But you're not going to have Deebo Samuel, who is a huge weapon for this team, especially with a quarterback that's only making his 3rd NFL start. Having that safety blanket like Deebo Samuel is huge. He's a guy that can run the football out of the backfield. He can take it on jet sweeps around the end. He can run over the middle and make catches. He can go deep and make catches. There is literally not an area of the field where Deebo Samuel cannot make a football play. He's one of the most dynamic, versatile football players in the league, and he will not be playing on Thursday. That's a huge loss for this Niners team. And I can't, now I have not watched a lot of the Niners since Brock Purdy took over, because Seattle's played at the same time they have. But I have to imagine that Samuel is a great safety blanket for Brock Purdy. When you're a young quarterback, especially a guy that wasn't expected to be playing this season, it's got to be nice to have somebody who you can just kind of get the ball to and he can go. He will not be playing on Thursday night. So that's a boost for the Seahawks. Doesn't mean the Niners don't have weapons. You've got McCaffrey, you've got George Kittle, you've got Ayuk, you've got Juwan Jennings. So they've got guys, and they've got a great O-line anchored by Trent Williams. So that doesn't mean they don't have weapons, but it is arguably probably their best offensive player, or at least most dynamic. Trent Williams might be their best offensive player, but you can make a case their most valuable offensive player is missing the game. That's a nice boost for the Seahawks. Let's talk about the elephant in the room that everyone's going to talk about is, Jay, how are the Seahawks going to stop the 49ers run game? They couldn't stop the Panthers run game. How on earth will they stop San Francisco's? Well, I actually made a point on Twitter, and I kind of meant it jokingly. I said to a couple people, and it was a joke, but there's a little bit of truth behind it. And I said that the Niners' great running game doesn't scare me at all, because teams with bad running games are running all over this team. What are the Niners going to do better? And I don't mean that you said, well, they're better, they're going to do better. But my point is, if bad teams are running the ball in Seattle, then yeah, it's sort of that you can only average 100 yards a play. There's only so bad you can get beat. So yeah, Seattle's run defense stinks. It's been beat by everybody. The Niners aren't going to be any different than that. So, there's nothing there that they're going to likely do that other teams haven't already done to Seattle. So, and I know it sounds kind of weird, but my point is more that it's hard to word it, but Seattle's so bad at stopping the run that they make every team look like the Niners running game. So the Niners running game is what Seattle's been giving up every week for the past month, essentially. I know that's not a great analysis, and I said it's more a tongue-in-cheek point, but I do think there is some truth to it, that you can only be, it's sort of you're either dead or you're not dead. There is no, you can't be beaten up past death, essentially. And that's kind of what I'm equating here. Seattle's run defense has been so bad that there's only so many yards you can get during a game on the ground. So I can't imagine that the Niners do anything more worse than Josh Jacobs did to them. Now the Rams running game wasn't great, but the receivers without Deebo, I can't imagine they do any worse to the Seahawks. And the Panthers rushed for 175 yards in the second half, 180 yards second half. That would be 360 in the game. I don't think the Niners are going to run for 360. So, if Seattle can just, keep it there, they might have a shot in this game. Seattle's secondary's been pretty decent this year. So I don't expect the Niners to have a huge game throwing the football, whether it is Brock Purdy or Josh Johnson. Again, I'm expecting Purdy. So I don't think they're necessarily going to be able to dice Seattle up through the air. It's going to be on the ground. And if you know it's coming, maybe you do have a chance to stop it. There's also a couple upsides to Seattle's run defense. I know, upside to the Seahawks run defense. How can you even say that? They should have Shelby Harris for this game. That'll be a nice return. I'm assuming he'll be back from being sick on Sunday. Pete Carroll even said they were close to getting him to go, just couldn't. I don't know about Al Woods with his heel injury. Now that would be a big loss. But just getting, and truthfully, if you look at Seattle's run defense against Carolina, in the first half, they actually didn't do that bad. They held Carolina, I think, to 60 yards rushing in the first half with Al Woods in there. So clearly his presence made a difference. Now, I don't think Shelby Harris is quite the run stopper that Al Woods is, but getting him in there should give this team a little bit of a boost. And not having Deebo Samuel, you're not as worried about some of the jet sweeps and some of the other things that Kyle Shanahan likes to draw up. Doesn't mean Shanahan's not going to dial up or draw up some new stuff, but that threat is gone too. So with that chance to sort of sell out for the run, it may be something. I'm not expecting Seattle to have a great run stuffing defense, but it could be something where they are able to just be bad. Like there's god awful, which is what the Seahawks run defense has been. There's really, really bad. There's bad, there's average, good, and amazing. Like, they just need to be bad, and they might have a chance. Like, normal bad, just a normal bad run defense, not historically bad. So, they don't have to go up much to give them a chance. And even as bad as the run defense has been, they've been in some of these games. At the end of the day, and not to get super analytical here, but pass defense is more important than run defense in the modern NFL. Now, we are seeing the NFL start to get back into a trend of running the ball is kind of coming back and making a comeback in the NFL. But overall, passing is more valuable. The rules in place just emphasize the passing game today and favor the passing game. So it's better to have a good pass defense than it is run defense. And Seattle's pass defense is pretty good. So they've still been able to stay in games for the most part. Like the Raiders, yeah, Josh Jacobs ran for 225, but like if DK's catch in that fourth quarter, you know what I'm talking about, the final drive stays a catch, they probably win the game right there. They were at the Raider 45 with about a minute to go. You get 10, 15 more yards, you give Myers a shot. If Max Crosby doesn't get that hand on Geno in overtime, Travis Homer's open there, they probably win the game. Despite how bad the run defense was, they probably still win it. The Rams game, they did win. Carolina, if Geno doesn't throw those 2 picks, and again, they happen, so you can't say, well, if they didn't do this and didn't do that, but like, they just don't turn it over there, they might still have won that game despite the run defense being really bad. In Tampa, they were, a stop away, despite as bad as they were, a stop away from getting the ball back and having a drive to potentially win the game. They had a red zone turnover in that game too, which killed them. So they've been in these games, despite the run defense being this awful, they've still managed to hang in the football games. So there is a definite chance they can hang in there. And listen, if you hang in a game and you're close in the fourth quarter, you have a chance to win. Like in baseball, get the game to extra innings or something. If it's 1-1, a fluke play here, a fluke play there, and you can win the game. That's kind of the method hopefully Seattle can take here and do that as well. The other thing about run defense is it's volatile, meaning that it can kind of be really bad and then okay. I equate run defense in football to a bullpen in baseball. Bullpens are known to be extremely volatile. You can have a team that has a great bullpen. We've seen it in baseball. Teams have a top 5 bullpen one year. They bring back the same guys and they're ranked like 27th the following year. You go into a series thinking this team's bullpen's terrible and they shut you down because bullpens are volatile. They are. Now, baseball, it's more short-term stuff. Run defense is kind of the same way. It's a very high effort role to kind of shed blockers and get off to push the pile back to stop the run. It can be volatile, though, week to week. The Seahawks are a perfect example of that. The 4-game winning streak stretch, the run defense is one of the best in the leagues in stopping the run, and now they've been back to terrible. It's not unforeseen, especially if Al Woods does play and you have Shelby Harris back, that the run defense is okay. It is volatile. It's more volatile than pass defense is in the NFL. Now you might say, well, those games were against, the Cardinals' run game sucks, the Chargers were banged up, and the Giants have no passing game. Fair. The Cardinals I'll kind of agree with, that they're just a mess with Kingsbury. The Chargers, have a pretty good run game with Austin Eckler in there, and Seattle shut it down, despite the receivers being in the game. And yes, the Giants were a mess at wide receiver. They literally, I don't even remember who they ran out there at wide receiver. But one, you've got an extremely talented back in Saquon Barkley, and Seattle's been beat up by other teams that have. Carolina doesn't have much receivers. The Rams don't, and those teams still manage to run on the Seahawks. Now, the big difference is the Niners have an outstanding offensive line. That's more the main difference here versus like the Giants. The Giants' O-line is not very good, so Seattle had a chance to at least kind of break even at the line of scrimmage, and the Giants' lack of wide receivers kind of played into that, certainly. So, but it is a volatile thing. It's not unforeseen for a team to not be able to stop the run and then turn around and do it 1 week later. I'm not predicting this. I'm not trying to, this isn't like a trash talking thing. I'm not coming on here saying Seattle is stuffing San Francisco's run game on Thursday. I'm just saying it's not guaranteed that the Niners run all over them, especially a game Seattle hopefully is up for, energized for. Maybe some of those guys step up a little bit and can make some plays. So that's about it. I was trying to think about anything else. Oh, the health of Seattle's run game. Hopefully you have Kenneth Walker back. It sounds like he's been limited in practice. It doesn't look like DJ Dallas has been cleared to go. So hopefully you have that to at least help keep the Niners defense honest a little bit in this game. That's really what you want to do. That these teams have just been sitting back on the Seahawks pass game. And if you're starting Travis Homer, Tony Jones, Igwebuike, it's just not going to work. So part of it's the run blocking. That's got to be better. But hopefully Kenneth Walker is able to play, and that maybe forces the Niners to just load up the box a little bit more and open up some of the passing game. The key, really, for Seattle on offense is you can't turn the football over against this Niners team. Don't give them short fields. Don't give Brock Purdy a short field to make easy throws. You know, the Panthers, one of the reasons they got up early, they got that turnover after being down 3-0. Excuse me. Maybe not. Something come up on my phone. They're trying to get rid of it. I can't see myself anymore. But the Panthers got up 3-0, got the turnover, and then were able to complete an easy pass. When you're starting field positions, the other team's 21-yard line, it becomes a lot easier to run an offense. There's not a lot of pressure on you. So really important that Seattle doesn't turn the football over in this game. And that might sound like a cliche, but truthfully, the Seahawks have turned the football over in every single game this year. Every game this year, they have turned the football over. And my dog is barking. I apologize if you hear her. She's going off. So it's really important to not turn it over. If they can have their first game without a turnover, they'll have a chance. So that's all I want to make this video. I'm not re-recording this because she's barking, but just to let you guys know to stay positive about it. Stay optimistic about the game. Don't get down yet on it. Don't think they don't have a chance. Seahawks do have a chance in this game. Am I predicting they win? I don't make a lot of pregame predictions. I think the Niners are a better football team. I will leave it at that. But it doesn't mean that Seattle's going in here with no chance. There are things they can do. It's not guaranteed the Niners are going to run for 300 yards in this game. So let's see what happens. Don't turn it over. Just play some better run defense. Easier said than done. And maybe force a turnover too as well. Maybe get Brock Purdy in some tough situations and see if you can force him to turn it over. He's been playing very good, very comfortable football so far, aided by his defense. So maybe you can turn the tides a little bit, put some pressure on him. You can make something happen. His first ever road start, and it's not an easy place to play in Seattle. He said that as much in his interview. And then obviously the O-line is going to have a big test with Nick Bosa on there. So please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. And I'll be back. I'm 3 subs away from 200, so if you guys could help me out with that, I would truly, greatly from the bottom of my heart appreciate if you guys could sub up. And as always, go Hawks. Peace.